Paul Robson is back behind bars tonight thanks to a tip-off from a member of the public. The convicted sex offender had been on the run for 4 days from the North Sea Camp open prison near Boston. Robson, who's been described as dangerous, was found by Lincolnshire Police in Skegness. Well, in a moment we'll hear from the MP for Boston, Matt Warman. But first, our social affairs reporter Caroline Bilton looks at the events of the last week.
His picture was spread far and wide, and yet it took 4 days to capture him. It was feared Paul Robson could be anywhere in the country, but he was just 22 miles away in Skegness.
We found him through not only really strong investigative police work, but also through a tip-off from the public. And I'd just like to say as well that we don't believe at this time that he's been working with others or that he has an accomplice. And at this moment in time, we don't have any other offences that we're attributing to him in the area as well. So just incredibly grateful for the work that the public have done in helping us to catch him.
He was on the run from this open prison, a minimal security jail on the outskirts of Boston, where inmates are prepared for life back in the community. But Paul Robson was not low risk. Police described him as dangerous to both women and children. Newcastle-born Robson was jailed for life in 2000 for the indecent assault and attempted rape of a woman at knife point. In August 2009, his tariff in prison expired. He was denied parole 5 times. But in February 2021, he was deemed suitable for a move to an open prison to test whether he would eventually be safe for release. In January of this year, he was transferred to the North Sea Camp open prison, where just 3 weeks later he absconded. A spokesperson for the Ministry of Justice said that Paul Robson is now safely back behind bars and will face an uphill struggle, proving he can ever be trusted to move to an open prison again. This man had a history of crimes against women and children, and his case raises questions about the use of open prisons. The parole board says reviews are undertaken thoroughly and with extreme care. Protecting the public, they say, is their #1 priority. The manhunt may be over, but the questions remain. Caroline Bilton, BBC Look North.
Well, earlier today I spoke to the MP for Boston and Skegness, Matt Warman, who has the prison in his constituency, about this whole issue. Mr. Warman, do you understand how a prisoner who was refused parole 5 times, was deemed very dangerous, was in an open prison?
Frankly, no, is the answer. It seems to me that this is a situation that is very hard to justify. It's good news that the parole system is already in the process of being reformed, and this demonstrates just why it can't come soon enough.
But this isn't rocket science, is it? Someone somewhere thought it was OK to put a dangerous criminal in an open prison. You don't need the Deputy Prime Minister, Dominic Raab, to tell you that that's not a good idea. Something has gone wrong.
Something has very clearly gone wrong, and I absolutely understand that there are a lot of prisoners in North Sea Camp who have got some very frightening things very much in their past, but they are able to cope with these conditions. This is someone who clearly, from his record, was not, and it seems to me that a very grave mistake has been made in this case.
You say that the Justice Minister is now going to look at each case. Well, that's like saying that we don't trust the parole board to do their job, and that is their job, and they can't be trusted with it.
Well, there's always been a degree of ministerial involvement, or certainly MOJ involvement, when it comes to the move from closed to open prison conditions. This is beefing that up. I think that's good news, but the whole system, I think, does need to be looked at to make sure that this sort of thing can't happen again.
But the parole board can't be doing their job. Maybe they're under pressure, I don't know, but they can't be doing their job right if they thought that this was a person who could move to an open prison, which is what has happened.
I think the parole board definitely has questions to answer. I'll be talking to them, I think, if not tomorrow, then very early next week, to try and get some of those answers out of them. But this is, as I say, this is a system that is in the process of being reformed already. I hope that if one good thing can come out of this, it is that we can use the mistakes that were made in this case to inform that review.
And just briefly, 101 people escaped from open prisons last year. 4 of those were from North Sea Camp. Often people who are in these places have spent many years in closed conditions. They're not secure enough either, are they?
Well, I think open prisons do have a place, and it's important to say that I don't think anyone should blame the staff at North Sea Camp. It's the system that puts the wrong people into open conditions. I do think, as I say, they have a place, but clearly not for individuals such as this person.
We will follow the story. Mr. Warman, very good to have you on the programme. Thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure.
Well, after that interview, we asked the parole board for a comment tonight about how Paul Robson ended up in the North Sea Camp. This is what they say. The parole board refused the release of Paul Robson, but recommended a move to an open conditions prison following a hearing in February 2021. This was a recommendation only, and the Secretary of State for Justice considers the advice before making the final decision on whether a prisoner is suitable for open conditions. So the parole board has tonight said that the then Justice Secretary, Robert Buckland, made the decision to send Paul Robson to an open prison. Has to be said, the matter seems far from clear tonight, and of course we will follow any developments on that story.